tired of waiting for your person to come back into your life or for the estrangement situation to magically end while you wallow and linger in pain? Today is the day for you to take hold of the reins and start turning things around so that you can reclaim your own peace and your own well-being. Estrangement situations are painful and messy. It honestly doesn't matter what happened or which side of things you're on or who did or didn't do what. It's forever devastating and life-changing for everyone involved. The good news is you don't just have to grit your teeth and wait for time to heal all the wounds, because it won't. But you can take concrete steps right now, starting today, to move towards healing and growth. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that in this video. Today, I want to walk you through 5 simple things, but transformational things you can start doing immediately. Not someday when you feel ready or when the time is right, but right now, as in today. These steps are built to shift your mindset, to help you reclaim your power, and to help you remake your own emotional experience. We're going to talk about creating your own healing North Star, separating your identity and worth from the situation, reclaiming your narrative, doing a personal boundary and energy audit, and choosing your support system wisely. That might sound like a lot, but honestly, the fixes to these situations are quite simple, especially given how complex and messy estrangement can be. I've been through all sides of this. I spent way too long rehashing everything, replaying conversations, and wondering how things went so far off course. But here's what changed. I stopped trying to figure it out, because honestly, there are no good answers. Even though I very clearly know what happened, it will never make sense. I will never understand how people can do what they did, how they can justify it, how they can be so clueless about how their words, their behavior, and their need to be right affected other people and ended up poisoning the relationship to the point that it broke. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I did stuff I'm not proud of, but there's definitely stuff on both sides, and I will never understand it. What I did do was begin doing my own internal work. One of the best things I did was to seek help. I quit trying to be so dang stubborn and independent and trying to figure it all out myself. And in the process, I redefined my identity, reclaimed my self-worth, and I learned to shift my own mindset. The result of that was, over time, I was able to let go of a lot of the things that were making me crazy, and I rebuilt peace on my side of the street. Now I help other people do the same thing. Let's start with creating a healing North Star statement. As we've already established, estrangement situations are hard. They're big, messy, confusing, overwhelming, and it's really easy to drift off course or to get lost along the way. Because of that, we need a guiding light, kind of like our own little personal lighthouse. It's something that anchors your decisions, your self-talk, your choices, and even your boundaries. All you need to do is create one short, powerful statement about who you are, where you want to go, and how you want. An example of such a statement might be, I want to feel peaceful, grounded, and proud of how I live my life and show up in the world, regardless of what has happened or what happens in the future. Take a little time, write out a statement that feels right to you, and then put it somewhere where you can see it. Read it often, repeat it often, and revisit it anytime big feelings start to rise. This statement becomes your internal compass. With a choice or an uncomfortable situation, you can simply ask, does participating in this conversation, or making this choice, or entertaining this thought, or doing this thing lead me to where I want to go or away from it? It really is that simple. Without a North Star, we can easily drift back into reactivity, frustration, blame games, anger, guilt, and despair. With a clear inner vision, though, our choices become easier, and it becomes more doable to gracefully navigate through all this crazy stuff even when the storms are raging on the outside. Number 2 is to separate your identity and worth from what happened. Estrangement is something that happened. It is not something that you are. So much of the pain that we feel comes because we allow the events of our life or the things that we've been through to define our worth. When your sense of worth is tethered to someone else's behavior or choices, as it often can be in these estrangement situations, every silence, rejection, or distance feels like a threat. But when you choose to root your identity elsewhere, their choices lose their power to knock you off kilter, at least for very long, and they lose their ability to destroy your inner sense of balance and harmony. If you don't believe me, I want you to ask yourself this. If this estrangement had never happened, would my identity and my value and how I see myself be any different? If the answer is yes, you know you're probably on the right track. If the answer is no, there's probably something other than the estrangement running the show, and it's important to get to the bottom of those things because the estrangement is likely just a symptom of them. Either way, though, you can practice reminding yourself of things like, I'm more than a mother. I'm more than a woman in pain. I'm a woman with purpose, value, gifts, and a lot of good life left to live. And then speak those things out loud like the true statements that they are. And keep doing it often enough that you start to believe them. Number 3 is to reclaim your narrative. Estrangement situations especially can skew our perspective. They can easily change how we think, feel, and talk about ourselves, about others, and how we see the whole world around us. And it is super easy for life to become defined by loss, by guilt, by shame, and by what went wrong or who did what. I want you to remember that you get to be the author of your story, not the victim. You have the power to change the script and to rewrite what happens from this point out. When you stop allowing yourself to be swallowed up into things like, I failed, I'm not good enough, they failed, I lost, poor me, this happened. You get to stand up and say things like, this is who I am, this is what I believe, and this is what I stand for anyway. That shift is powerful because it reconnects you with who you are at your core. Especially if that feels hard, it's time to sit back and remember a lot of the good things that have happened, things that aren't tied to the estrangement. Maybe it was a fundraiser you led, or the time that you showed kindness to a stranger, or that somebody was nice to you. You can even remember the qualities that made you a good and devoted mother, because those things still have meaning even now. Even if things have slid off the rails or they've broken in a million pieces. In almost all cases, things were never all bad. And it's important that we remember and look for those good things. As things start to shift, you can now focus on emphasizing what you want to learn, what you refuse to surrender, and who you want to become regardless of what has happened. Number 4 is do a personal boundary and energy audit. That might sound all woo-woo and whatever, but estrangement situations are trauma. And trauma situations often leave us feeling reactive and unsettled. And as such, we may find ourselves endlessly checking messages, stalking social media, waiting for the signs, or chasing closure. And I'm going to tell you that stuff will make you crazy. You got to stop feeding the pain. Every time you engage in that stuff, you reopen a wound and you reset the healing clock. But when you cut off those leaks, you get to reclaim stability. And we do that by doing a personal boundary and energy audit. Take a look at things like, where is this situation still keeping me hooked? How am I still connected to this person? Maybe we live in the same town. Maybe people keep talking to them. Maybe I've got pictures of them all over my house. Maybe I've still got their precious things from the 3rd grade hanging on my wall. You can also look at things like, how do I feel when I don't hear from them? Or when it goes south when I do? And do I still really want to keep chasing that? My friend, you've got to find those energy leaks. You need to find the places where you're still hooked emotionally, or by habit, or by tradition. And once they're identified, work on closing them. That might mean deleting old text threads, muting social media, refusing to rehash old conversations or to engage in inappropriate conversations, or simply finding a way to get out of the rumination and the obsessions over this person or situation. Yes, it might take a little while to fully get through that process, but you can start taking small steps right now, right this minute, today. Simply make a list of those things that are keeping you hooked and then choose one of them where you can start to release it or you can close that leak, even if it's just a small one. This last thing, it's a big one. Choose your support system wisely. Not all support is healthy. There are many online groups out there that are more about trauma bonding than actual support. What they really are is people connecting because they've all been through the same terrible thing. But instead of actually leading anybody to healing and growth, they end up spinning in grief and complaints and all kinds of trauma. So choose wisely. You also want to use discernment in real life. Some people may not get it, and that's okay. Some people may not be ready to hear what you have to say, and that's okay too. So instead of trying to just tell everybody, seek to connect with people who are ahead of you on your healing path. Look for people who offer hope and model boundaries and focus on growth. Seek out mentors or groups, or even people like me, a trauma-informed coach, who focus on recovery and not just the problem. I'll throw in a little teaser here. If you want to know how I can help you, feel free to reach out. I've got several options. You can leave a comment or you can shoot me an email and we'll figure out what works best. But whatever you choose, your support system matters. They say that we become an average of the 5 to 10 people we spend the most time with. If your circle is stuck in pain and misery, complaint, conspiracy theories, or bitterness, you're going to stay there too. If your circle is growing, supportive, encouraging, not afraid to lead you to some hard truths, you're going to be lifted and you're going to be able to eventually walk out of this. So it's time to look at things and evaluate your current circle, both online and off. Look at who lifts you up, who drains you, and how do you feel when you're with them, and how do you feel after interactions with them. Start looking for places and people that are knowledgeable, who understand what's really going on, who are empathetic but not stifling, and who are committed to healing forward and helping you get to where you want to go and be the best person that you can be, regardless of what has happened. You may have believed, or maybe even still believe, that healing is a passive experience, that if you just wait long enough, the grief will shrink or the kids will eventually come back and that life will go back to normal. But I hope you know by now, it doesn't work that way. Healing is an active process. It requires courage, choice, discipline, and boundaries. It's not a journey that you passively endure. It's a path that you intentionally walk. And you don't heal by waiting for someone else to fix the story. You heal when you become the one who writes the next chapter. Especially if this is all new to you or you want to gain a deeper understanding about how the healing process actually unfolds and what to expect next. Watch this video right up here where I talk all about it. I'll give you a little hint. It's not a tiptoe through the tulips, but you're on the path. So keep going and I'll see you in the next video.